today's video. We have a lovely day because it's a day when we can make a harvest, and immediately we've made that harvest there shall be a succession planting. Hello and welcome back to the No Dig Norfolk Gardener. Today we shall be harvesting our onions. It's the right day to be doing it. It didn't rain last night and it's not rained this morning, and there's a bit of a breeze, and you want all those kinds of conditions when you are ready to harvest your onions. You can see here this is classic multi-sown onions. There are 4 nice medium-sized onions there. You'll never get big ones in particular. On the odd occasion you get one really big one, but in the main they look exactly like this. And we know that they're ready because the neck is soft and we can push them over. It's a bit of a myth that people seem to think that you need to wait until they've all gone brown and yellow and dying off before you can harvest them. That's not really true. You could do that, but they're ready for a harvest for myself and Mrs. W now. Even the red onions, where the green stalks are still quite stiff, they're of a great size for us. Don't need to let them grow anymore. I'm really happy with those. We can start that curing process, and then the very next crop, today, can follow it. The first 2 of our 3 trays have been processed, and the idea really is same as with the other alliums, the garlic that we did earlier. You want the moisture out of the neck. These skins, they will all get crispy. It's going to take anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks, depending on what kind of weather we get. What you don't want to be doing, though, is to be leaving them out when you know it's going to rain, because it will just set you back. You know, while these have been in the ground, you know, the skins have already been starting to crisp up. So they're already on the way. It's one of the ways you know that they are ready to harvest. With the red onions, the rain seems to have affected their outer skins differently to the whites. And so we had to take those off because they were just falling off, weren't they?
Yeah.
That'd be fine. They will start to crisp up. They just might take a little longer to do so. And really what we're looking for is for them to get like this. These are all papery now. The leaves have died back, and we shall be cutting the stalks down on these in the next week or so, and then they shall go into storage down in the house. What I have done, I've already selected our garlic and elephant garlic for next year. These are the biggest ones that we grew. They've got some lovely big cloves in them, and they will be our garlic for next year.
Yeah, we'll be sowing those or planting those into the garden. What, October time do we do that?
Yeah, early part of October, early part of October. So if you've not grown garlic or elephant garlic before and you want to for the first time, and you're not subscribed to our channel, then do please subscribe, and you'll find that we'll give you lots of helpful tips, hacks, and also we'll let you know the optimum time when you need to be planting or sowing something. So we'd better get this last tray processed, Mrs. W.
We had.
And then I need to be planting something. You know, there are many things that I like about No Dig. Well, the fact it grows great vegetables, and we get really good harvests. It doesn't take long before you can replant something. Just pull the odd weed. You know, we've got one here, we'll just take you out. And I saw one just here, Mrs. W. So let's have you out. I think we have an onion that actually never made it, look.
Oh.
Still a baby. And you notice that as I do this, I'm actually standing on the beds. You can do that with no dig. You're not going to create something that's too firm. In fact, it's really quite spongy, really. And it soon returns back to its normal state. So all it is a quick rake over. And we're ready to get the next plantings in, Mrs. W.
Superb.
Now the next things to follow these onions will be some cauliflower. And these will be for a harvest next, well, I'm guessing kind of March, April. And the variety called Ellesmere and Sendis. Now we did have to pop these on. Whatever reason, the onions took just a little bit longer to harvest. We normally get a harvest toward, well, usually at the start of July, but they did take just that little bit longer. Probably down to the cool weather that we talked about a couple of videos back. But it was necessary to do. And you can see they've grown on really quite nicely. This is a bit larger than we sort of need them, or as I would normally plant them in. Now I've dipped the holes a good 18 to 2 foot apart. Because these plants will get quite large, and especially by the time we get to next March and April. Stick them in the ground, and I like to make sure that they go in right up to their first set of leaves.
And firm them in nicely, because they do like firm bottoms, don't they?
They do indeed. And I do actually get many comments of people say that their cauliflowers, cabbages, whatever that might be, haven't done very well, and especially with small or loose heads, and essentially it will be because the ground is not firm enough. Now with no dig, because it's never turned over, it's not tilled, it's always nice and firm. But if you dig your soil, then it will pay you just to shuffle along the surface a week or so before you intend to plant, and then just rake it over lightly so that it's not compacted but it's firm. Tell you what, Mrs. W, we may not have seen too many of the pollinators about, but soil life, because of our no dig soil, look at him, look.
Hang on.
1, 2, 3. This soil is absolutely teeming with life.
It is.
A rich biodiversity.
I can actually even see, surprise, surprise, a slug.
Let's have him off there then.
Yes, definitely. Come on, my man.
He will be disappointed, Mrs. W, because we haven't left anything behind. The onions have all gone. Now you may have seen me before. Usually at this time of the year I would dib the holes and then I would give them a good watering. But I don't need to do it this year. We've had so much rain that the soil is just, well, it's ready to take the plants. And you probably saw a little earlier just how easily the dibber went into the soil. Bear in mind, we garden on heavy clay soil. However, they will still get a watering to help them settle into their new home. even though the soil underneath is quite damp. And it's important you do this with all new seedlings, even though it's not the hottest summer that we've ever known. It's still quite warm today, well, for us anyway. It's over 20 degrees. The sun is poking its head out, and these plants can soon wilt and struggle to get away. And I had a comment, it was on 2 videos ago, there was someone that was saying about cauliflower and Calabrese broccoli that made very small heads, and particularly when it comes to cauliflowers, any check in their growth will mean that they could flower early and make their head, and of course it would be on the small side. They like a regular supply of nutrition and water. And especially at this time of the year when you put these cauliflowers in, if you go 10 days or more without seeing any rain, you want to be giving them a water. I haven't found the need to, well, we don't ever feed anything else, do we? Not in our no-dig garden.
No.
Before we were no-dig, we were always having to give a monthly feed of fish, blood and bone, really, weren't we? Just so that everything was fed. But since we've been no-dig, we don't feed anything, and they grow perfectly well. So I'm more than happy that the nutrients are there for these to be able to grow. But you may be watching this video and are not no-dig. And if that is the case, like I say, cauliflowers in particular, they hate any check in their growth. They need regular moisture, never be sitting in water, but regular moisture, and they need a regular supply of nutrients. And of course the other thing that we talked about earlier, which is firm ground. All brassicas, they like firm ground. That's how you get good heads, good firm heads, not ones that are separating. It's the same with your sprouts. If they're not in firm ground, that's when they tend to blow. If they're in firm ground, you get nice, firm buttons. And that's our cover put over. Although we're not seeing so many butterflies this year, in fact hardly any. Never mind about the white cabbage butterfly, we haven't seen any of the others either. Which is slightly concerning, I have to say. That does concern me quite a bit. But nevertheless, we still do have pigeons to contend with. They love nothing more than a young brassica to eat. Done all right today, Mrs. W. We have an amazing harvest of onions.
Yes.
They will see us all the way through next year. Depending on how many we use every week, but hopefully around about next April or early May. And if they're stored in the right way, it's more than possible to do that with the right varieties. And if you've been inspired by the onions that we have grown, then look out for those how-to videos. We shall be doing one, how to grow onions from seed to table. So do look out for that. And don't forget to be subscribed if you are watching the channel for the first time, otherwise you won't know when we put it out there. And that would be a great shame. We've got to get ready, and tomorrow we're off to see Sasha's graduation. Proud moment for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So have a great gardening week, won't you all? We shall see you on the next one.